Hello and welcome back to our 23rd episode of The Love Project with me, your host Han Royani, and with me, my co-host
BJ. What's up?
What's up, guys? We have some news to cover this week, but the main news, I would say, the Pope Francis has just recently passed away on the 21st of April. Obviously, it's a sad moment for the world. Actually, he's
Last night, right?
last night. Yeah. So he's a very affectionate and very caring Pope, I would say, in our lifetime. He's the first
ever South American Pope.
Yes,
right?
first ever Latin Pope in the history of the Vatican.
Yep.
He passed away at the age of 88 years old, and obviously, yeah. He's been a great influence in Christianity, I would say, because all the months since October 7th happened, the Pope has consistently called out Israel's barbaric ways towards the Palestinians.
Yep.
So it's a sad moment, especially now when a figure like that has passed away.
Yeah.
You know
Even
what I mean?
in his final address to the public.
Oh yeah. On Easter,
he called for ceasefire.
Yeah, he called for a ceasefire on
Yeah.
Easter. Just the day he passed away, yesterday, right? Or the day before?
The day before, I think.
The day before.
I think it was, yeah.
So obviously, our condolences to everyone that is feeling a bit sad, and because he is an influential figure in Christianity.
Yes,
so it's a huge news. But this being the Love Project, I have a few. I have a conspiracy theory.
Of course you do.
say.
I want to hear this.
Okay, did you know that the day before Pope Francis passed away, do you know who he met? He actually met with the US Vice President, J.D. Vance.
Oh yeah. He's on an official visit to Rome.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So
So he stopped by the Vatican as well.
He stopped by the Vatican as well.
Okay.
So, I'm wondering, is there any
What? JD Vance hit a syringe?
Coincidence maybe, but
Well, okay. Excuse me. Not to feed into Hans' conspiracy theory thing here, but there are a few I don't know if it's rules, customs lah. I guess you could say regulations within the Vatican when a pope dies. So one of the things that cannot happen when the pope dies, no matter the circumstance of the death, no autopsy or post-mortem can actually be done. And this has been okay. Autopsy in today's world, it's like you cut open the body and you figure out like what failed and what is the cause of death, right?
Yeah.
Back in the 1100s, I think it was just a matter of you can't even inspect the mouth, for example, the orifices. You can't even open the mouth to see if the mouth is a different color or anything like that.
Okay.
When the Pope dies, so, there's no autopsy. Like you essentially cannot figure out. You're not allowed to figure out the cause of death of a Pope officially. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not sure about the process.
But to be quite clear about this, the Pope, Pope Francis, the late Pope, did have quite a few health issues when he was alive.
Yes.
Most recently, before Easter, he was hospitalized with double pneumonia in the lungs. So, and he also apparently did have a history of hypertension, high blood pressure, and of course resulting cardiac issues because of that. Yeah. And supposedly, according to the Vatican doctor, he died due to stroke and massive cardiac failure, right? Yeah. So but I don't know how they know that.
Yeah, but the fact that there's no autopsy for the Pope
allowed,
it's only gonna make people
perpetuate
the all the conspiracy theories, like who met the Pope and stuff like that. So
agreed.
Because so who checked the Pope's body after?
Essentially, all you can do is check the pulse.
So that's all
to figure out.
So then how would you? Okay,
dead.
so then how after he has passed away, then how would someone know whether or not what the cause of his death was if they're not allowed to check his body?
Yeah, you're not allowed to know the cause of death of a Pope.
Okay, then how did the doctor know that he was like he passed away due to stroke and heart failure?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I wish I knew the answer to that. But
Yeah.
as far as I know, you're not supposed to carry out an autopsy on the Pope whenever the Pope dies.
Yeah.
And because he's the Pope of the Catholic Church, there are also a lot of things that will happen in the coming weeks,
Yeah.
especially in the next 30 days or so, 28 days or so, where the first obviously will be the burial procession and all that, which will happen within a week of his death.
Yeah.
And within a week after that, most of the cardinals around the world that represent the major Catholic missions around the world, they will flock to the Vatican, into the Sistine Chapel, where they have a special election, a secret election called the conclave, where people don't know what happens inside. We'll get more into this in the coming episodes,
Yeah.
where we can break this down in more detail.
Yeah.
But essentially, that's the process of selecting or electing a new pope.
It's called the conclave, right?
Yeah, the conclave,
And I think there's
correct.
a movie about it.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
And it was also the process of the conclave was also massively portrayed in the Tom Hanks movie Angels and Demons, based on the Dan Brown book Angels and Demons as
Right,
well.
right.
Yeah, so it's quite detailed there if any of you have watched or read that book and movie.
All right.
Yep.
Now moving on. We actually have a special guest today on
Yes,
the
we
show. She is a performer, a theatre actor, a martial artist, and now she's also the president of the Vegan Society of Malaysia. Please welcome to the show, Davina.
Hi.
Hi. Hi. Thank you for
Thanks for
coming on the
having me.
show.
Thank you.
So, I mean, I understand that you've just recently been appointed as the president of the Vegan Society of Malaysia. So how did your personal journey into veganism begin, and what inspired you to become an advocate?
So what firstly got me inspired to become a vegan in the first place, you mean?
Yes.
I think it was, I don't think, children are always extremely compassionate, and we're encouraged to pet animals at
Yeah.
the petting zoo and go to the zoo and, be in awe of all these animals, but we can eat them too. So there was always this strange dichotomy
Right.
that children are raised into and conditioned to think that this is okay.
Yeah.
But I think somehow I had this very acute awareness of this dichotomy from young, and it never really quite it didn't sit well with me. And that there was a huge moment of connection when one time I was at my grandpa's place and my grandma's place in Muar, where my dad is from. It was probably Chinese New Year at some point, and I was maybe about 12 or 13. And a chicken that I was trying to make friends with in the backyard that had a raffia string tied around its leg so it couldn't run away.
Okay.
Oh no.
Just one day wasn't there. And then we were having steamed chicken for dinner on one of those nights, and my dad said, "Do you know who that is? That's your
Oh my
friend,
God.
Davina."
Oh no.
So even though I think I was aware of us being able to eat animals, that was the first direct connection I made with something that
Right.
was that while it was alive. And then
Yeah.
it made me
Right.
realize, okay, chicken doesn't fall from the sky.
Yep.
Chicken
Yeah.
isn't just something that grows on trees or just happens to just magically appear for dinner.
Yeah.
It had a life, and it had sentience, and it had emotions, and I bore witness to all of that.
Right.
So I think that really got me guilt tripping for like years.
Right.
And people saying, people tended to use the word, I don't know if they still use it, maybe they do. Oh, so if you like petting stray animals, that means you're an animal lover, right? And I hated that word
Animal
because
lover.
an animal lover because I know that I'm eating animals. There's no, I felt sheer hypocrisy, and I could not bear with that. So eventually, I went vegetarian, and then realizing that still wasn't enough because then when I went vegetarian, the information about veganism started percolating slowly into mainstream media, and then realizing my journey isn't over yet. So I ditched animal byproducts as well, which is honey,
Eggs.
milk, eggs.
Oh, okay.
And then started adapting non-cruelty living into the other aspects of my life, like not wearing fur, leather, wool, and starting to understand why I cannot support zoos and don't support animals being used for entertainment. So it starts just becoming this all-encompassing stance against animal exploitation.
Right.
And strangely enough, it has made me a more compassionate person towards people as well. Because you start seeing how people are trying to deal with their guilt as well. And it can come out in so many different ways. And a lot of it comes off as resistance and teasing and bullying.
Yeah.
Because what I found was that the people who are most aggressive towards vegans are the ones who are the most aware that the vegans are right. Otherwise, they wouldn't be pushing back so much.
So they're like projecting their
their frustration that
their
they haven't
frustration.
gotten there yet.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I know some vegans, like the most respectable vegans who have had very sordid pasts about making sure like their whole lives was about making vegans miserable. So interesting.
So you mentioned at the age of 12, that's when you first started probably venturing into vegetarianism. So how old were you when you sort of like decided, okay, no more, I'm not going to eat animals anymore? How old were you when you started to become a full-on vegetarian?
Full vegetarian.
Yeah.
So from the time I was aware that I wanted to eat more compassionately to actually going vegetarian actually took me 12 years. And it was only because my family and my surrounding my social environment didn't have the tools and they were not equipped to support someone who wanted to make these choices.
Right.
So my family, they have no point of reference as to how to raise and support a vegetarian child. They think so they only are aware of one diet and that one works.
Right.
Everything else will make you sick.
Yeah.
So it was really hard to also find a way to figure things out when I wasn't given the permission to.
Yeah, because like our diet, especially as Malaysians, it's like generationally passed. You know, like from our grandparents, they have their recipe, like they have their own cultures. For example, like in Islam, we have Raya Haji. You know, so during those celebrations, especially like for Muslim kids, you know, we have been exposed to this sort of thing. So we think that, this is like the norm, or at least this is like our tradition, you know?
Yeah. So you inherit not only your genes, you inherit lifestyle.
Yes, exactly. So it must have been really difficult for you to like completely did a 180, you know, especially with your family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the reason why I wanted to become an advocate is because I wanted to be that person for people who were going through what I was going through.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Namely, mostly the guilt of...
Not really the guilt, but just letting people know that there is a Malaysian out there who is doing it and that it's okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, since you've been in the Vegan Society, can you explain what are some of the missions that you guys have, and how has it evolved over the years before you got to be the president of the Vegan Society, and after you became the vegan president?
So the society is actually really, really new. The first committee started the society and only ran for one term.
Okay.
This was like 2017-18.
Okay.
And then during the pandemic, everything just shut down and it stayed dormant for about 5 years. So back then, I think they was also just figuring out what they wanted to do with the society. I was merely a member. I wasn't part of the committee, so I wasn't very sure of their mission and their vision. So actually at that time, when their term was coming to an end, I was approached by the committee to see if I was ready to be president.
Right.
And I said, no, I'm not leader material. I'm more of a connector.
Right.
And then like 5 years passed and I've gone through like a whole lifetime of experiences in such a short amount of time that have made me feel, that have forced me to become more has forced me to take ownership of
Right.
who I am and what I stand for. So by the time somebody approached me again, I think it was about last year, like, would you like to become president? I'm like, absolutely, I am ready.
You're ready. Okay.
We are all ready, and I wouldn't have taken it on if it wasn't for the community as well being
Right.
supportive enough of that. So our mission is to. It's really complicated in Malaysia because we are such a multifaceted country, and there are so many cross sections of our culture,
Yeah.
and with religion and with race and the little idiosyncrasies of each of these pockets of society makes it very difficult to disseminate information.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so having been the president of the Vegan Society, what are some of the biggest misconceptions about veganism that you might have encountered?
Right. Well, firstly, sorry, I didn't get into the mission and the vision.
Sorry, my
no,
bad.
it's okay. We just want to firstly just get Malaysians to understand what veganism is in the first place, because as much as I have grand ideas, like I wanna transform the education system, like I wanna do the Jamie Oliver, and I wanna start introducing more healthy plant-based options for students.
Right.
That's where I personally want the society to go at some point. We want to do more outreach. We want to do a podcast as well at some point. So it's mostly like a lot of on-ground work and a lot of community building, because that's
Yeah.
what I find is very important in getting messages across in collectivist countries like Malaysia.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so what was the next question?
Some of the biggest misconceptions that you
okay.
have faced. You know, I'm sure because
Wow. Okay.
being a vegan, I would say I think it attracts some unwarranted criticism.
Some.
Yeah. So how do you
Yeah.
deal with that? Well, so like the biggest misconceptions that you have faced. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, do you want to hear the struggles I was facing, or like what we are going through now? Which one's more relevant?
I think we start with what you were facing.
Yeah.
And then
What I was facing
Yes.
before.
And
Oh,
then
the
we-
usual. Oh, but God put animals on this earth for us to eat. Oh, women. Like, oh my gosh. Like, oh, Davina, look at her. She wants to save all the animals. She thinks she's so amazing and good. Like, and things like, but lions are put on this
Oh.
earth to eat animals. So like, I don't know how people make that connection, or like, but plants have feelings too. But plants are living too, and there's or like, oh, you're missing out on like how you gonna get your protein, and a lot of very, very, very overused, very stereotypical, but still very pertinent questions, and ragging, vegans
Yeah,
about
yeah,
their lifestyle. When I've worn this T-shirt just for this occasion.
What?
So it says, this is
okay.
made by a really good friend of mine. His name is VK. He runs a vegan shop in Kota Kemuning. I can't remember what it says. It says, what a crazy society we
Yeah.
live in, where
Where
we
we-
have to explain why we must not kill animals. And I'm sure everyone is on the same page. No one likes the idea, but it's a matter of unconditioning ourselves from what we have been institutionalized into. Yeah. What was the actual question? Oh, yeah. So what I'm facing now, the biggest misconception, not even a misconception, it's a misunderstanding.
Right.
Because we're such a multifaceted country with religions and
Yeah.
all, there are so many different reasons why people go vegetarian, and it's mostly for religious reasons.
Yes.
So that doesn't help with the misconception that veganism is shorthand for vegetarianism.
Yeah, okay,
And it's
yeah.
not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vegetarianism is a diet. Veganism is a way of life, and it's a philosophy. And it's something that you breathe and you wake up and you choose every single day. Vegetarianism is just it just
I'm not
helps
gonna
you
eat
decide, like,
animals,
I'm not
yeah.
going to eat animals. But this is more of like a stance of, I'm going to wake
More
up
of a lifestyle.
and more of a lifestyle. I'm going to choose to make choices in my life today that will not contribute more towards the exploitation, violence, brutality towards animals.
Yeah.
As much as possible. So there's a lot of gray areas. Like some people will think that you can be vegan on weekends. or you can be vegan for breakfast. So I think this is generally across the board, not just Malaysians, but for just people in general. There
Right.
is a great misuse of the word vegan because you're either vegan or you're not.
Yeah.
You can't say you can be trying to be vegan, but you can't be vegan if you're still eating birthday cake.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think because of this misconception, or rather this normalization of the term, it kind of, not only does it take agency away from vegans who are trying to stay vegan as possible, it also kind of, it affects the way, it affects our ability to even go out every day and have a latte without getting the risk of accidentally getting cream because most other vegans, people who call themselves vegans, are allowing that to happen.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that can be quite difficult. I
Oh,
can
it's
imagine.
so difficult now.
Yeah.
It's a blessing and a curse. A lot more people are aware of the word vegan, but without actually understanding what it actually means.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry, just to clarify,
Sure.
I'm not saying that people should not even try. I'm not implying that people should not take it step by step. I'm definitely an advocate for taking your time. But the term to use for that situation is being plant-based. I'm 80% plant-based. I'm 80% I go plant-based maybe once a week.
Okay.
So that's a much more neutral term without all the context of what veganism carries.
Yeah.
It's a very loaded word, actually.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned something about the unconditioning of the mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question
yeah.
about it actually, if
Sure.
I may.
Yeah.
So, leading up to this interview, I had to go through a lot of source material on what it means
Thank
to be
you.
vegan,
Yeah.
and also for the sake of objectivity, also figure out what are the detractors saying about veganism. So a big one, I feel there's a lot of things, and I feel like if you are a fairly moderately intelligent human being, you'd be able to sift through the and know what proper criticisms there are. And I feel like one that I've seen, one that I also to me at least sounds logical, is okay. You spoke about misconceptions of veganism, right? And one big one I feel like that keeps popping up when I was doing research into this is that like you mentioned earlier about how people say, oh, God put animals on this earth for the food chain, so that that there's a food chain, we can eat it. There's someone but that also from the vegan perspective that ignores the premise that humans are always atop the food chain. Whether it be lions or not. Like if you're talking about lions and wildebeest, for example, okay, in Africa, that's their natural habitat. Okay, in a way, I get that argument. Whereas humans are inserting themselves into the supply chain, if you will, or almost artificially.
Yeah.
So I get that argument, but what about arguments of people that say things like, okay, look, there is it is also a form of biological control, where because of the reality of the situation in today's world, where there's things like factory farming, which I'm not a fan of either. But because of the existence of factory farms where they overproduce meat, okay, I think we can all agree with that. They overproduce meat, and these animals are not being cared for in a proper manner, even when they are alive at these factory
Yes.
farms. But it is a way to feed the populace. That's the argument. So what do you say about that, where it's sort of seen like I get your initial argument of whether that it is something that is generational, that is being passed down over how many thousands of years of humans, but it also doesn't change the fact that it is a reality of our life in today's world. Where there are far more people that are sort of more into, well, not say into, but far more people that are more willing to eat animals than not. If to put it simply.
Yeah, that's a really, really, really good question.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you asked that because a lot of people just end with like they start and end with like, so what do you eat? Yeah. Oh wow, that's so insightful. So what I have to say to that is, I think a lot of people also are not. I mean, there's that's a very very fair perspective. On the flip side, there's also the draining nature of maintaining factory farms and how much resources it takes with land use.
Yes.
And with fresh water consumption and the agricultural runoff that creates dead
Yes.
zones in the ocean and greenhouse gases and all that.
Yeah.
So I think what is a powerful argument about veganism in favor of that is that instead of using all of these resources to grow like insane amounts of edible plants to feed animals, to feed the world, why don't we just cut out the middle person, which is the animals, and just go straight to the plants that will feed billions more people.
Right.
We can feed 75% more. Wait, I didn't do my research, but I didn't do my research before getting here. But it was along those. It was like we could feed 7 billion more people.
Right.
If we cut out like the
If everyone just ate 100% plants.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's that. And also, I think everyone is in agreement that factory farming is horrendous.
Yes.
And it is a broken system. And it not only affects animals, it affects people and communities too. People who work at these factory farms, they don't do it out of choice. No child grows up and says, Mom, Dad, I want to be a slaughterhouse worker.
Yeah.
It's always the most marginalized people who have
And you do it for
no
money.
choice,
Yeah.
who do it for money, and
Yeah.
there are slaves in there, and there are refugees, and because there are language barriers, there are huge injuries, especially if you're doing repetitive actions that uses very sharp equipment. It's very, very common to get life-threatening injuries.
Right.
And because people don't want to lose their jobs or because of language boundaries, none of these get reported. So a lot of these slaughterhouse workers, they are very prone to getting anxiety, depression, alcohol issues, domestic abuse issues, drug addiction. It's a horrible, horrible life.
Yeah.
And for everyone who says like you can choose to eat animals, but now we live in a world where you don't need to.
Yeah.
So you can assert yourself as a dominant species, but if there are avenues to get around that, why not?
Okay. Okay. I have like a few questions because like obviously like we mentioned we agree that what do you call the farming?
Factory farming.
Factory farming is bad. So and there's also the probably I'm not sure if it's a stereotype or if it's facts, but the people that want to start to be vegetarian or veganism, when they want to change their diet, basically, the cost of trying to maintain to keep being a vegan, some would think that it costs more to be a vegetarian or to be a vegan as compared to just a normal food diet.
I think at the start, if you're picky, then it's hard.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how do you like answer like?
But what's the cost we're talking about? That's the
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
Because there's a cost, because when you're buying cheap meat, there's a hidden cost as well.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah. So, and if you're eating cheap meat and you don't know the traceability of it, you don't know how it was raised,
Yep.
what chemicals have been put in it, what kind of chemicals were put in the plants for the animals to eat,
Right.
what's the actual hidden cost also of your health.
Yeah.
And so people will think that it's expensive, but it's also an investment put in the right place or in a more appropriate place that is in favor of not just your health, of your children, of your environment, of your community. And it saves lives. Like it's really a win-win-win-win-win situation when you go plant-based. But I think there's a huge emphasis on the actual financial cost of it. But there's a reason why things are cheap. And and that's a lot of things that people don't realize. Like, you can eat mamak every day. You can go out and have like, nasi ayam every day. But at the end of the day, like, these are the people who are first to go into hospital in their when they get middle age, with gout, with kidney disease, with diabetes, with
Right.
obesity, with cardiovascular disease. And cardiovascular disease is the number one killer in Malaysia. There is a cost.
Right.
Yes.
Okay,
you
so-
just don't see it in the food.
And to piggyback on that point, I like to disagree that. I mean, in popular notions, especially on the detractors of veganism and vegetarianism, people will say that, but it's actually not true. I mean,
What's not true?
the fact that eating vegetables is going to be more expensive for you, changing your diet
Okay,
that way
yeah,
is
yeah,
going to be more expensive. I don't think that's true at
Okay.
all. Because I mean, we have a very close friend that is vegetarian but based on a religious reason.
Yeah.
And he's never complained about food costing too much. Like, you go to a mama, you can have, like, especially if you're just starting out, like from being a meat eater all the way, and you're transitioning solely from vegetarian to go to vegetarian,
Yeah.
then from vegetarian to veganism,
Vegan,
right?
yeah.
Especially at the start, you could go to a mama and get like just veg dish everywhere, like or on your plate. You know,
Yeah.
you don't have to get the meat products,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
animal
sure.
products.
I'm just saying this is like a misconception.
Yeah,
that
yeah, it
people
is.
It is a
think.
misconception.
It definitely is.
But also that it doesn't help that we are most of the time fed the Western narrative of veganism, where all the price comes in for the technology that goes into making plant-based alternatives for things that
Yeah.
people crave when they make the transition, like non-dairy milks and like meat analogs, and a lot of technology goes into that. It's a whole different rabbit hole to talk about the processing of everything, but but that's not how Malaysians need to eat.
Yeah.
We have so much to eat that is
Yeah.
fresh, that
Oh, yeah.
is like, we have our own superfoods, like our ulam is incredible.
Yep.
Like ulam raja is one of the most powerful herbs in the herb kingdom.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like it's a powerhouse of like phytochemicals. Like every ulam is gonna do wonders to your health, but nobody talks about that on Instagram.
Yeah.
Not yet.
okay.
We'll see who's gonna make a supplement out of that.
That's part of the disingenuity of the people, of detractors of veganism. Like, you know me, I'm not in any way a vegan, and I don't practice that lifestyle.
You're such a good ally, though.
No, I don't even call myself an ally. Like, to be honest, what I believe in is ethical killing. Like, of animals at least.
Yeah.
If you're gonna eat it and eat it all the way down to the organs and bones, go right ahead. I feel like that's my belief. But if you're killing for maiming, for other purposes,
Oh, yeah.
then that's. But at least for me, I also believe that you have to be, if you're talking about an issue like veganism, and whether you want to criticize or praise, you got to do it from a place of good faith.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even
Exactly.
even if you are a detractor, like, okay, point out the criticism, but you also have to point out what is good.
Benefits,
Yeah,
yeah.
what benefits.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you can't just criticize one way
Yeah.
and not point out what's good about it.
Yeah,
you know?
and I think that's what a lot of carnists, that's what they call. That's what they're called.
Carnists.
Carnists.
Carnivores.
Carnivores. Not just carnivores, but carnists.
Yeah.
People who like pro carnivore and there's plenty of carnists on the internet just bashing vegans and vegans
Right.
bashing carnists.
Yeah.
it's crazy. But
Okay.
but yeah, so a lot of carnists don't see the bigger picture.
Yes.
But also on a very fair standpoint, a lot of vegans also don't apply the empathy needed
Yes.
to find the lack of need to fight these people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's
Because everyone's just fighting from a place of ego, really.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so we're in Malaysia. So Malaysia, as we all know, it's multicultural, multi-religion, multifaceted. So because we have so many different cultures and culinary traditions
Yeah.
in Malaysia, how do you approach that when in terms of promoting a vegan lifestyle? Because most of us here, we have been
Food is our fifth language, man.
Yeah.
It is,
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that? Because so many of us, whether it be religious purposes, we tend to not try for vegetarian food because we are so used to, we eat chicken rendang, beef rendang,
Yeah.
whatever it is. So how do we like change that in order to, promote a better and healthier lifestyle?
I think Malaysians just aren't shown how to do it another way. It's really as simple as that. The thing that makes rendang is the sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How what you use as the main thing for the rendang sauce to be put on is really up to you. So I have some people who say I don't know what to make for you for Christmas. I don't want to put beans on pasta. I'm like, girl, that's what I do all the time. There's I know most vegans, the first thing they make that brings so much joy into their lives is veganizing rendang, veganizing nasi lemak. All you do is replace chicken and beef with tempeh and tofu. Senang je. Yeah,
Alright.
but you just need to, I think this is the journey I went on as well. You have to take off your carnivore glasses and put on your vegan ones. You're like, whoa, I've got all this I can play with, and there's so many ingredients in Malaysia that I don't understand. I mean, I do understand, but I get so oh my gosh, if only everybody knew what a paradise it is to be vegan in Malaysia and what we get to play with. There is nangka, young jackfruit.
Okay, nangka.
Yeah, nangka. And people buy it in a can overseas. People buy tempeh frozen. We have it all fresh and so cheap in the local market.
Yeah.
People in the West call pandan the new vanilla. And it's
Wow. Pandan
Yeah.
vanilla. Okay.
Dude, you look at all the kuih raya, man. Kuih raya is like pandan this, pandan that,
it's-
pandan bulan Melaka dia,
it's exotic. But we've got incredible foraged herbs and spices and amazing grain, heritage grains, and such an incredible plethora of ingredients that it's just up for us to take and explore with. And it's incredible. I've never been more of a foodie than I am now as a vegan.
Oh, really?
It's incredible. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
since we're talking about the topic of accessible vegetarian or vegan food, what are some of the local businesses or restaurants you'd like to shout out,
okay.
that are doing a great job promoting plant-based food?
Okay.
Yeah.
Before that, oh
Oh,
my
sure.
God, sorry.
Sure.
It just occurred to me that there is, I'm sure, I didn't know about it, and I'm a vegan. Did you know that there are leaves in Borneo that taste like oyster
Oh,
and taste
what?
like fish? I was introduced to this by a French chef who's the technical director at Le Cordon Bleu in Sunway
Okay.
University. And we collaborated with them as Vegan Society of Malaysia and Le Cordon Bleu because they have a plant-based culinary academy.
Right.
So he goes to a Borneo market in Sri Kembangan to get all these ingredients that most Malaysians have no idea about. And he got me to
wow.
try the oyster leaf and the ikan leaf. I was like, okay, I can see how this is fishy, but I'm still okay with that. I haven't had fish in oh my God, a long time, but I could take it. The oyster one, I was like, I used to love oysters. This is going to be amazing. Then I put it in my mouth and I gagged so bad because it tasted exactly like
an
oyster.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Incredible, and revolting at the same time. It's amazing what we don't know about.
Right.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't know that we even had leaves
Yeah,
that taste
kan?
like fish and
Yeah,
oyster.
mind blown. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So the local businesses.
Yeah, local businesses or restaurants.
Oh,
yeah.
so many.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know one vegetarian restaurant is called Hungry by
Hungry Tapir.
Hungry Tapir, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah, that's a place in Bukit Bintang that I always choose to meet up with people who are coming through. It's always a crowd pleaser. And there's La Gula down the street, owned by the same family.
okay.
It's a bakery and it's a cocktail bar by night. And,
Oh, nice.
And they have and they're starting to open up. They're starting to introduce fun things in the evening like Jazz Fridays. And they had an amazing Soul Train party for New Year's Eve.
What?
And there was you get a whole ass vegan platter of stuff. Yeah,
Oh,
really,
nice.
really good food. The sourdough pizza is the bomb.
Wow.
Sala in Hartamas
Sala?
has bomb diggity burritos, man.
Burritos.
Burritos. It's so good.
So it's like a alternate for they use
They use mushroom stalks to
okay.
replace pulled meat.
okay.
And I always recommend mushroom asada burrito for starters there.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And there's one thing that I brought a friend to and tried it. It was introduced to the Ramadan menu, but now they're keeping it. It's called the taco birria.
Oh, yeah, I love taco birria. But
I've never heard of taco birria, and I've had it vegan, and it's like they take like pulled mushroom again, I think, and then they dip the
dip it in
whole
the
thing
sauce.
in
Yeah.
spicy sauce,
Yeah.
and they pan fry it, and then you dip it in more sauce.
Stop. You're making me hungry.
Yeah, I highly recommend that. That is omnivore approved.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
cool. Okay,
Yeah.
we haven't had much time left for the interview,
no!
so we
Really?
have.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
that really
yeah,
was
yeah,
quick.
yeah.
You're
Time
right.
capsule.
Okay, can I quickly name drop others?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Veggielicious Thai in Section 17, amazing Thai food.
Okay.
Savor of Life, a bit on the pricey side, but the I think it was a Sarawak laksa is
Okay.
divine. Thousand Ramen is in Pusat Bandar Damansara, and it is a legit original vegan ramen place straight out of Kyoto.
Oh, wow.
And this is the first time they have opened up a branch outside of Japan.
Wow.
The
Okay.
truffle ramen is sublime. Is incredible.
Oh, vegans are alright with truffle?
Sorry?
Vegans are alright with truffle?
Yeah.
Truffle is
Oh, okay.
like cheese, right?
Truffle is a mushroom.
No,
Mushrooms,
it's a
yeah.
type of mushroom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mel's got the look on her face.
No,
I'm having some
Yeah.
truffle tonight.
there are some, you'd be surprised, like, Oreo's a vegan? Like, yeah.
Dude,
Oh,
truffle,
You just read the ingredients
truffle
and there's
and
no
potatoes
animal in
is
it.
the best thing. You can cook
Truffle,
it at home.
truffle. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, since we're on that note, oh my god, have you tried kulim?
No.
Kulim is next level.
What-
and
what-
it's a locally foraged herb that people don't know about.
Yeah, I don't.
No, I've
Oh my
I've never
God,
heard of
it's
I
like
know
kulim.
the place in Kedah called Kulim. But
Oh, I
I've
think
never heard of it.
I think I don't know what was named after what.
Right, right.
It's like a hard nut
Okay.
that you forage, and and the orang aslis get it.
Oh.
And you crack it
Ah.
open, and there's a little nut inside, and you slice it thinly like truffle, and it's like truffle and cheese and garlic times a million.
Oh, wow.
It is.
Let me check this out.
Yeah, like it's one of a kind. Like you won't get a flavor like that anywhere else, I swear. And it's local. Like,
Interesting.
come on, guys. It's if only like people started digging, and exploring what we have. That's why I'm so excited all
Yeah.
the time. Like, I only found out about kulim like 4 years ago.
Oh, really?
And now
Okay.
I've got like a little kulim infused oil in my kitchen that I put into pastas and soups and
Right.
I should have had breakfast this morning because now I'm so hungry. I'm sorry. We have time for maybe a few more questions.
Okay.
What advice would you give to someone in Malaysia who's curious about veganism, but maybe they feel unsure or overwhelmed about where to start? And also, what is your vision for the future of veganism in Malaysia, let's say over the next 5 or 10 years?
Okay. I think Malaysians, maybe people in general, make the mistake of liking the idea of veganism and trying it out, but not coming from an informed space. So anybody who's even curious to try, I highly, highly recommend to start laying the foundation about being an informed consumer first,
Right.
before even considering changing your diet. This is like
Right.
doing research about the food industry, reading ingredient labels. Oh, this is something that I have such a bone to pick about. Like most, like I think it's very safe to say that majority of us don't just pick up things from the supermarket and just put it in our trolley
Yeah.
and we buy it.
Yeah.
But we don't know what ingredients we are giving huge food industries permission to put into our bodies. And there's so much crap. And that's how I started, because I also wanted to just find out whether some things have animal products or not. And then I started reading labels and I'm realizing, oh my God, what filth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and what things are disguised as healthy, but they're actually not. How much
Especially like-
processing?
Yeah, processed food,
Chemicals,
yeah.
E-numbers. Some E-numbers are quite deceiving. So some, there are some things that sound like, ooh, that looks like it's from but actually it's just a vitamin, So you really have to do your homework into educating yourself in how to read labels. And deciding, is that what you want to put in your body? Most of the time, I guess a basic rule is, if your grandma doesn't know how to say it, don't eat it. So yeah, I would say, like, I could go into like, oh, watch all these documentaries, and I would say like Game Changers. I would say What the Health. I would say Forks Over Knives. But it also depends on what resonates with you, in terms of what you're curious about in like the selling points of veganism. It can be about the animals, it can be about health, it can be about the environment, it can be spirituality, it can be fitness. So you find resources that will help support your awareness and knowledge about how veganism supports that, and then start building start building your resilience using that as your compass.
Right.
Yeah.
With what you've learned.
With what you have learned, with how much you want it. If you don't want it enough, then you're not going to go very far.
Right.
So you really have to,
Follow through.
sometimes follow through with it
Yeah.
and accept that at some points, people around you are going to be super uncomfortable with it. And it's a matter of like, how willing are you to stay uncomfortable to the point where it becomes a little less uncomfortable? And I think it's just a very realistic approach to it. Like if you can see yourself, if you're not in an environment where people are, you just know that you're not going to last, then you have to sink your heels even deeper in the ground. And are you willing to do that? If not, then you don't. Then you can then adjust your journey along the way. You don't need to give yourself a timeline.
Right.
But it's important to see like what your resources are,
Okay.
what your current obstacles are, what your opportunities are in terms of where you can buy food, where you can get your information, and what are the things you can do today, even if it's going to the supermarket and buying a can of beans.
Right.
Yeah, always meet yourself where you are. Don't see yourself where you're going to be in 2 years from now as a vegan, because you don't even know what's going to happen today.
Yeah, you're right.
Right.
Yeah. So lay the foundation, do your homework, be an informed consumer, read those labels, and find your purpose.
All right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have today. But before we finish the show, maybe some of our viewers would be interested to learn more about veganism and learn a bit about your journey. So where can people, check you out, or like about like your Instagram or
Okay.
Facebook or whatever?
All right,
So
thank
where
you.
can they?
Yeah. I forgot to mention like the vision of where I like to see
Oh,
veganism.
yes, sorry.
I would just like Malaysians to be a bit more informed. That's all.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
have
that's
very
fair.
basic expectations because I've been in this for 9 years, and I really have to manage where I'd like to see Malaysians going. Malaysians, I think we just need to be a bit more gracious and patient and understanding, and also, oh man, how much time do we have? Not
We have a
much.
few more minutes. Yeah.
Okay, I have a vegan friend, literally just passed away
Oh, sorry to hear that.
last week.
Sorry to hear that.
Sorry, thank you. And it's the second vegan that has passed away in the past 2 years.
Okay.
It is extremely, extremely difficult to stand for your values in a community and a society that does not validate what you go through. It's such a tough journey.
Okay.
And some people are not given that chance to and people just like being vegan is really hard. Like we don't get a break. And what I would like is for Malaysians to have a bit more grace to accept people for these views. The reason why vegans are angry all the time is because we've seen things that you haven't seen yet, and we know things you don't know yet. So as much as vegans are angry, I think most vegans start out angry. There also needs to be compassion on both sides. Why are vegans angry? And also for vegans to understand why the pushback is so hard.
Right.
So greater understanding, greater compassion. Ultimately, that's what I would like to see, not just in Malaysia, but just worldwide.
Yeah.
There's already so much shit happening around the world, and veganism is supposed to be it's supposed to stand for peace. And I hope that we will all get there. And yeah, like
Sorry, if I may ask, was
Yeah.
it due to
the first one, yes. The second one, we suspect.
right?
Oh.
Yeah, because
Sorry to hear
what we were hearing in our circles we were trying to trace back what our latest interactions with these people.
Right.
And it was like messages of isolation,
Right.
Oh.
messages of feeling so defeated by the world.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's devastating.
There's
It's
always-
devastating.
That's always bad.
You already feel like an outsider,
Yeah.
and to not have the support system or resources to help you navigate that.
I think
There's no Vegans Anonymous here.
That's quite foolish. I think, like if you can get if people around these people are bringing them down or not giving them support, I think it's
Yeah.
quite foolish. Like at the end of the day, when it comes to veganism, at least, is a matter of diet and lifestyle, and
It is, yes.
everyone should be left to their own devices when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't ridicule someone for how they choose to eat.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not right.
But from a
Yeah.
collectivist standpoint,
Yep.
anybody who stands out is a threat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
We
get that.
function as satu Malaysia.
That mob
Kita
mentality
jaga
thing.
kita.
Yeah.
The moment someone steps out, even if you don't mean it, you subconsciously try to bring that person back.
No, like
It's just the way we are.
I get it, but I mean, to ridicule someone based on their lifestyle and diet choices, it's kind of wrong.
Yeah.
Like the whole trans thing,
Thank
like
you.
like the whole trans thing, that's bad as well. Like
Yeah.
Okay.
trans
Yeah.
who get ridiculed, and
Oh
because
yeah, of course.
trans a lot of trans,
Yeah.
you know, so like it's disproportionately high compared to the normal population. And it's also due to things like that,
Yes.
isolation.
Isolation,
It's also due to
bullying.
isolation. And
Yeah.
like while I understand why people feel more vehemently towards trans than vegans, I feel like it's still not something that any other human being has a right to ridicule another human being for.
exactly.
If they choose to live that way, they choose to live that way. It's not
Yeah.
affecting your life.
It's sad that we have to say these kind of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That-
it's a given,
Yeah.
isn't it?
And
But, yeah.
also, like, to end, I would like to say, like, even though this is not a conventional episode from us, like, we don't usually highlight this kind of issues.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like Davina said, we are trying to just give as much information as we can. And you guys, the viewers, you all have your own opinions and ways to formulate your own opinions. So you decide for yourselves.
Yeah, so if
Yeah.
anyone wants to learn more about veganism
Oh,
or find
yeah,
out,
that's
reach out
right.
to the
Go to
Yeah.
vegans.my.
Yeah.
It's not a website, it's our social media for the Vegan Society of Malaysia. If you want to reach out to me personally, I'm at Davina Vegan on Instagram, and
That's
I have what's that?
That's my
Davina the vegan.
Davina Vegan.
Yeah.
.com. I also have a website. That's where I share either recipes that I have made Malaysian and vegan, or I've taken an international recipe and I use local ingredients as much as possible to
Right.
make it
Nice.
accessible.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so. Oh, and also join the Vegan Society, because I think what's really important is to have family. Like even chosen family. There are so many Malaysians who don't have supportive families, so to have at least some kind of semblance of a family elsewhere,
Right.
to hold space for that and make you feel seen and heard, I think is crucial for anybody who wants to make a different lifestyle choice, not just veganism. So yeah, join us and we'll go have great food together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Davina. We learned so much
Yeah, we
today,
did.
actually.
I did too.
very informative.
Appreciate it.
So for those of you that just watched, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any issues that you think we should talk about, please let us know. And Davina, any final words before we end the show?
Any final words?
Yeah.
Choose compassion. Let
Choose
compassion be your
Alright,
compass.
That's great.
Well
That's
said.
great. Well said.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Peace.
Let's go.